Yo, what's up, everyone? October 28th here. Just want to do a quick Sunday night recap. What I'm going to be looking at for next week. So, real quick, and I know I touched base on this before with the RSI divergence, but I also pulled up the MACD here, down here. Haven't had the MACD up on TradingView just because I don't really refer to it too much in the videos, but I do use it every now and then. And I was just looking at, here we can type in SPX, SPY, SPX. If you want to trade the S&P 500, you would use SPY, but SPX, here we go. Look how low, so we're on the daily time frame. Look how low this MACD is right now. Boom. I mean, that's low. We haven't seen those levels since back in 2016 on these two significant dips, which they both saw at least somewhat of a bounce. I think we're in for a bounce, guys. I'm not saying we're gonna go, change the trend and back to up to all-time highs, but I think this for two things. So first, looking on the daily RSI, I've pointed out before how I'm seeing bullish divergence. I'll point that out again. So bullish divergence, that's when the price, you keep on making lower lows, right? But then the lows on the RSI are getting higher. So, this is the lowest low in the RSI, but it's a higher low up here. Then it continues to go down, but the RSI does not continue to go lower than this one. It actually is higher. That's bullish divergence, especially on the daily time frame. I would view this as a, if we were on the 5-minute time frame, this really wouldn't mean too much if we zoomed out to the daily and in terms of seeing like a multiple day bounce. However, this is on the daily, so I do think we are going to get a nice bounce. MACD just, man, that's bad. So my second reason is I was on the hourly, maybe? Yeah, I was on the hourly. And we have same thing. Except it's both RSI and MACD on the hourly. And it was really apparent with the MACD, because I was like, wow, look how that thing got low. And then, the S&P keeps on going down, but the MACD is not so incredibly weak right here. It's actually forming, a higher low. So I think we're in for a bounce. Not going to guess how much it's going to bounce, but yeah, I think we're in for a nice bounce. So that's just the S&P. If you guys want to play, all right, so let's look at SPY. If you want to trade the S&P, I would trade SPY, the Spider ETF. But say we get a bounce, right? And I don't think we're going to go as high as 281, because that would test changing the trend. So I think maybe let's call it 275, even number, right? So 265 to 275. Percentage wise, that's not that much of a jump. Let's do, what is that, 10 divided by 265. It's like 3.7%. So that's not that much on SPY if you're trading SPY. But if you trade SPXL, this is a 3 times leveraged bull ETF of the S&P 500. So if we went to that same area, which was right around here, it's at 40 right now, and that would be about a 10% move, a little over 10%. So that would be a good way to capitalize on this bounce if it in fact does play out. And I'm probably not going to be playing SPXL. I was actually looking at I'm in a trading group, and there's a couple guys that I went to high school with in this group, and one of the guys pointed out LABU, which is same thing. It's a biotech 3 times leveraged ETF. So represents the biotech sector. So with this, I'm not seeing the same bullish divergence with the MACD on the hourly time frame. Again, this is the leverage. I'll probably pull up the normal ETF in a minute, but say if everything bounced across the board, you could see a significant bounce in this sector. Actually, let me pull up the daily. Okay, yeah, so I'm seeing some bullish divergence on the RSI. Same type of deal. It's closer, however. The RSI almost got to the same level, but clearly the price has gone lower significantly. So if we do see a bounce, right, so I don't think it's going to hit where this lower high is. Let's say it comes to this level, which would be right at that higher low right there, which is 61. Okay, right? So we're at 51 now. That's, that's just shy of 20%. So that could be an extremely nice bounce. So what's going on with that MACD? On the S&P, it was pretty clear that there's bullish divergence, but it is not as clear here. Let's see. Biotech, is it XBI? Biotech, okay. Okay, so this is the non-leveraged ETF, I believe. Spider Series Trust, Spider, S&P, yeah, Biotech, okay. Okay, so even here, I'm not seeing the bullish divergence. This just looks normal. Could keep on going lower without a significant bounce. RSI isn't really telling me too much either. But, even if you traded this, you could, snag a quick 5% possibly if we break, to this 85 level. That could be nice. And, just want to look at the 4 hour. Man, this biotech sector is getting pretty beat up. I actually haven't really looked at it. I just pulled up LABU the other day. I was like, wow, it's getting pretty oversold. I could see a nice bounce, but that's because it's the 3 times leveraged bull ETF. So I would judge my entries based off of XBI, and then they would only be magnified in LABU. I just don't like the way this looks as much as SPY. Oh, what the heck? What the heck? That was weird. Anyway, okay. Yeah, so, like I said, around 85. LABU, it's just the magnified. So, yeah, percentage is just greater. So, if we got to that 60, that's 20%. It's just shy of 20%, but if we were right at 50 and then jumped to 60, that's 20%. But wow, okay, let's actually take a look at XBI. I want to see what's going on here. Let's zoom out to the daily. Yeah, it's definitely pretty beat up. Wow, where are we? 2015, okay. Let's back it up to the weekly chart. Jeez. Okay, it's not surprising. This chart looks like just massive gains, but really, if you go all the way back to 07 with a lot of companies, you definitely could have seen 10 times your money, which I don't know if it ever got to 10. Yeah, it's like 14, 15. Yeah, so not like 10 to 100, like 15 to 100, but interesting. Yeah, we very well could see some serious selling, guys. So, by looking at the weekly chart, this gives us a more zoomed out, conservative overall trend chart, if you will. So one thing, and again, this stuff isn't exact all the time, but look at this MACD. This is interesting. Even with the RSI too. The RSI got way overbought up in the 80s, right? So that's like this area. Price keeps on going higher. The RSI cooled off. It's a lower peak, but it went higher. That's bearish divergence. Then boom, huge sell-off. So this is interesting because I'm looking at the MACD here when we were at the previous peak, if you will, over here. MACD, pretty high, pretty propped up. Cool off, big sell-off. Then we start building back up. And as we're reaching new all-time highs, the MACD is extremely weak. Not even close to being at these levels. I would view that as bearish divergence as well. Same thing with the RSI. The RSI never got as overbought as it did over here. So, there could be a massive sell-off in XBI. Let's look at SPY one more time. Yeah, same thing with the peaks in SPY. I pointed this out, how we got unreal. I mean, that's what, 89 on the 91 on the RSI. I mean, come on. And we're on the weekly too. So if I were in the S&P 500, if I were in SPY and I saw this on the weekly time frame, I would be getting nervous all the way back here. Of course, you don't have to get out unless the trend changes per se. But when would the trend change? Yeah, I probably would have got out on this bounce right here, to be honest. Well, it's hard to say. I'd have to go into the daily. I wouldn't be waiting for the weekly trend change. I would be keeping track of this from the daily. Okay, so let's see when the S&P started losing its higher. Wow. God, it was just such a nice run up. Yeah, I probably would have been out. I would have been out right on this red day right here, right when this all broke. Because look, that was a key level. When I mean key, I say there's a lot of support and resistance. So by this breaking, the next day, this big red day, I would have been out. Yes, of course I wouldn't sell at the peak. There's no way to know that was the peak. But yeah, that would have been my sell signal, and then it would have allowed me to buy back in significantly cheaper. Notice also before the break in this day, we do have a bearish MACD cross right here, which happened a day or two before I would have gotten out. So that's another thing to keep an eye on. But let's go to today. Just kind of want to talk out loud, about what's going on in the world and the global markets here, or I guess the S&P 500, not the global markets, but this will affect the global markets if we do see some massive selling. So again, I am expecting a bounce, and if we don't get I'm not betting all of my money that we're gonna have a bounce. I'll probably play with about 30% of my portfolio and risk 30%, which normally I would go in more aggressively, but these are kind of dangerous times. Nothing too crazy, but when you're playing against the trend, it definitely helps if you kind of scale back your position size, be very picky on the setups, and yeah. So let's see here, the daily. Yeah, I just really think this will have a nice bounce. I think there will be some opportunity to make some money. That's what this is all about. We're here to make money, not to stare at charts because we like looking at charts. Let's look at the hourly. When is this going to happen? Okay, so first thing to look for is going to be the hourly trend change. And for that to happen, zoom in. Just kind of zooming out. Okay, so if you want to get real picky, you could zoom into the 15-minute, which then would affect the hourly if this changes. But just to keep it pretty simple, we'll go on the hourly. So if I were to look at an entry, a potential entry, what I would do, I would probably look for a break of this level, 271, 271.81. That would be a key level. So if the price continues up past this, that would be a good sign. I would probably actually wait for the pullback to form a higher low and then it would most likely continue up if it were to bounce for real. So by doing this, by buying on the dip, because usually when it breaks through these levels, it'll break up a little bit, kind of lose some steam, and then consolidate to catch a breath before it makes another leg up. So that's what I would be looking for. And yeah, so just for the heck of it, let's look at Tesla. Everyone's freaking out about Tesla, and they did have some nice numbers. I think their earnings came out the other day, but I mean, guys, like, I just don't like Tesla. I mean, like, yes, their cars are cool, and yes, their stock has done extremely well over the past few years, but I mean, I don't even know if they're profitable yet. Oh man, I mean, yeah, that is a nice, yes, they did run up, but I mean, look where we are now. God, it's just chop. It's not that clear, and I'm on the weekly time frame. Like, usually the trends are very easy to pick out. Like, this is a very clear downtrend. It had a nice run up. Had a nice double top right here, and then just going sideways and slightly down until it starts running up. And once we beat this right here, boom, off to the races. Had a nice 294 to 382. Wow, that's a nice run up. So that's one way to play these things conservative. And if you really want to make a good trade, I would wait to see. Yeah, because that looks like a triple top, right? Tested it for the third time, this level. Tested it twice over here, and then came back down a little bit, and then boom. Once we broke that what is that? 287, it's off to the races. So 287 to 386, man, that's a nice run up. 386 minus, what was that, 287 divided by 287, 34%. Jeez. And that's just, that's like, from here to here. That's not even from all the way down here. I wouldn't have played, there's no way to know that that's the spot to enter, especially on the weekly time frame. But anyway, where we are now, it's tricky. I mean, yes, it did technically break the all-time high, 387.46. Yeah, so it didn't break the all-time high, but, and then, it's just going sideways ever since June of last year. Yeah, it's like sideways and down. I don't know why everyone's freaking out about Tesla. Honestly, the only way I would probably get in is if we beat this level right around here. 389. Yeah, if we broke 389 with volume, it has to have volume for added momentum behind it. I mean, yeah, I just really don't like this. Anyway, so for all you Tesla fans, sorry, but not sorry. S&P, man. Yeah, so we'll see what happens with the S&P. I mean, even on the weekly, this. Yeah, we were just talking about this, the clear bearish divergence. Yeah, this very well could be the start of the bear market. Absolutely. Like, I do think we'll get a bounce, but we're not gonna go past all-time highs, I don't think, unless without some crazy good news from our beloved president or something. It's just not gonna happen. Chart's not saying it's gonna happen. It's most likely not going to happen. So anyway, I'm going to quit rambling. Yeah, just so I'm looking at the S&P and let's make some money.